Well, I think it's because we're transparent in everything that we do. So there's no hidden agendas here. And any new advisor that joins the company will soon learn that there's transparency here that you probably wouldn't find at any other company. And that's probably through to our basic management information right through to our strategic plans. We operate a corporate structure, but that's underpinned with family values. And as with all good families, we try and stick together. And our advisors all pull in the same direction, which I think is probably fairly unique in what is a competitive market. I think it's hugely important. This is where the company started. This is the company's HQ. It's the nerve centre of Holborn. It's a market we know, it's a market we understand, but it's a market that can change quickly. And I think it's a market that's perhaps more susceptible to change for various reasons than other more established equivalent territories. And I'm thinking of the likes of Singapore and Hong Kong and so on and so forth. So we're constantly finding that we have to adapt. It's a market that ebbs and flows, but the transient nature of expats means that there's constantly new people arriving. They all need and have financial planning requirements, and I think the same goes for people leaving as well, who perhaps want to get their affairs in order before they take on the next challenge. So there's still a huge opportunity here. I think uncertainty is probably one of the biggest challenges, but at the same time that also creates great opportunity. Over the long term, positively, but as with any change, there's a transitional period, perhaps even a period of pain as you change and grow. But the changes have been coming thick and fast over the last few years. I think we can all agree on that. So we've had Circular 12 here in the UAE. You can talk about COBS back in the Isle of Man, changes to the pension market in the UK. Even the recent changes out of Malta, I think, are a good example of that. But thankfully, we've been planning for this change for quite some time. So we've been focusing on our own proposition, vertically integrating where we can, improving our employee and client-facing proposition, and that's just to ensure that Holborn's overall proposition remains the strongest in the market, and we believe it is. So we think Holborn will be one of the few companies that will probably benefit from greater regulation, and so we welcome it. I think there's no doubt at some point more regulation will come through, and I think we have to expect that will be within the next few years. When that does occur, I think we can just expect more consolidation. We're already seeing that. I think we can expect a reduction in advisor numbers, and I think that will just leave a smaller headcount of higher quality, higher qualified career advisors. So I think the short answer would be it will just become a more mature market. There's a lot of companies, and I think people would choose different companies for different reasons, but there are a lot of different reasons why somebody would want to come to Holborn. I mean, we can talk about our employee proposition, we can talk about the strength of our client proposition, we can talk about the investment we make into our workforce on an annual basis, but I think at the core of it is simply our ethos as a company and our transparency, and I think that's the real key here. So it's a completely different working environment, and for many, I think it's just a refreshing change. I think, aside from the usual, of course, which is to provide a competitive employee and client-facing proposition, you've got to provide a platform for personal growth. I don't think financial incentives alone are not enough. You look at the companies, they can go to any one of a number of companies, and they will probably all offer the same kind of financial incentives. I mean, we spend considerable sums on education our advisors each year, but more importantly, I think we try as much as possible to seek out the feedback of our employees. And that goes right from the seasoned advisor to the paraplanners, to the business development managers, to those that work in the cafeteria. So we implore our employees to try and speak up as much as possible. We encourage them to come to us with any suggestions for how and where we can improve the company and their own personal development. So everyone's opinion is valid, and when people feel they can contribute, I think they begin to feel valued. I think it's fairly well known that Holborn has been on a rapid period of expansion over the last 2 years. I mean, we've hired over 200 people, we've opened 10 new offices across the world, various new departments and new divisions. But the acquisitions are really only as good as the people that you bring in. It's not the amount of clients, it's not the amount of advisors, nor is it the size of the book of the business. It's very much down to the people. So if the people are not a good fit for Holborn, then regardless of how good the deal looks on the surface, we just would not be interested. So Holborn's growth, whilst being part of our strategic plan, it's actually been fairly organic. Well, not to objectify people, but I think our key product, Holborn's key product, has and always will be the Holborn Advisor, and it will be our workforce in general. So we'll continue to focus on them as we always have. But when it comes to our client-facing proposition, which I assume is probably what you're referring to, we have expanded into other areas. So we've recently launched a new end-to-end property division as a further value add. But our main focus through this year and through next year will be on refining our existing proposition as much as possible. So we want to try and create a clear, efficient, attractive proposition that allows the company to scale, and scale quite quickly and scale easily. So of course with efficiency comes cost savings as well, and that's cost savings that we can hand down to our clients and future clients as well. This may come as a surprise, but we're actually not a company that recruits a great deal of new advisors into the industry. We are a company that tries to promote from within, but we mainly attract existing seasoned advisors that are already in the region. So if our competitors try and recruit 10 new people, for instance, we would perhaps prefer to recruit one experienced advisor, but we would still allocate the same time, the same resource, the same financial resource to ensure the success of that individual. So it is a different model, but most of the work is actually done during the recruitment process. So an advisor joining Holborn knows exactly what to expect the moment she or he comes through the door on the first day. I think then it's more of a case of just them getting to know the systems, the processes, and we have some fantastic people on board to assist with that, to make sure that their onboarding is absolutely seamless.